Extra glad to be here because I missed you all last month. I was having a minor procedure done, but I'm all better and ready to bring you new news and notes. So today, joining me in the studio is kYmberly Keaton, African American community archivist for the Austin History Center.
Hi.
Welcome. Hi.
How are you?
Good. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, and I think you all will figure this out on your own, but we became real quick sister friends when we met like just a couple days ago.
Right.
And I'm like, you need to be on this show. So
Yes.
thank you so much for being here.
I've been here since 7:30, people.
Uh-oh. All right.
The struggle is real.
Right, and you learn in the city and all that. Yes. So let me tell you a little bit more about Ms. Keaton. She is a native of Fort Worth, Texas, a graduate of the University of North Texas. I did not know that.
Yes, alumni, mean green all day.
Go Eagles. With a master's in library science and
Yes.
awarded a graduate certificate in digital content management. She holds a BA in English creative writing from the University of Houston.
Go Cougs.
Yes, with a minor in African American Studies. And she was awarded a baccalaureate degree with honors in English creative writing and the graduate certificate in African American Studies. Additionally, Keaton is a fellow of the UNT Graduate Student Teaching Excellence Program and a member of Beta Phi Mu International Library and Information Studies Honor Society. Wow. I like that you come with your own sound effects. And is a member of the University of Houston's Honors College. She began her professional career in academic, I might need your help with this, librarianship.
Right.
In October 2014 at a historically black college university, Lincoln University of Missouri. Is it
Lincoln University.
Lincoln University?
Yeah.
All
that's
right,
it.
in Missouri.
Yes.
All right.
Jefferson City.
Jefferson City. So there is a lot more. Like, Sister had a I don't know what the word is, a dossier, a large archive of your accomplishments. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
I had to condense that for time, but hopefully we'll get a chance to hit on some of your other many accomplishments.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So again, welcome. And to start, let's talk about what the definition of an archivist and what it means for you specifically. Because I know we've had two other archivists on our show, your predecessor, LaToya Devizin, and Rachel Winston, who is with the Benson. She's the African diaspora archivist for Lilas Benson. And even though the tenets seem to be similar, there are some nuances, right, based on, the work you do, where you work, and kind of what your focus is. So I'd love to kind of get this general idea of what an archivist is and then specifically what that means to you.
Well, if you don't mind, first
Okay.
I like to say I'm a librarian.
All right.
And I like to describe the difference between the two. You get a 2-for-1.
Oh, got you. Okay.
So as a librarian, you walk in and you're able to help people find, search, and share information with others. Mm-hmm. As far as being an archivist, you have the capability to preserve history, and that means that you're collecting history. In this case, that information can either be walked in to me, or I could go out into the community and gather that information. Okay. And there is a process of archiving information. You have to have it registered, then processed. And once it's processed, then we consider it to be a collection that is now open to the public. And that can be in a digital capacity or a physical capacity. And it just so happens at the Austin History Center, it's available in, I would say, in both mediums.
Okay, wonderful. So as far as, your role as a librarian and archivist, what brought you to this career? I think it's really important to kind of talk about folks' journey to where they are now.
Well, I would say as a writer, okay. I'm a Black writer in America. That's my first profession. I love to write. I love to write creatively. I love to write in many different facets. And I believe that, in my journey, I'll just say, I didn't get accepted to be an anthropologist at my alumni. So I was like, for my master's and PhD. So I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm a writer, I got to survive, and I'm in a century where you have to work. My ancestors have already paved that way for me to be able to go out and be who I want to be. But how do you survive as a writer in America, as a Black person, as a Black woman, and be taken seriously? So, we all have those moments in life where you're just like wandering. And it's so funny because I applied to the University of Texas at Austin to be an anthropologist. It's all coming back to me right now. And I was sitting on my back porch in Houston, in the Heights area. And I called my godmother. And I was just like, I didn't get in. And so she was just like, okay, so you got to go back to the drawing board. So I just remember being in front of her computer, and I just saw the word librarian flash across the screen. And I looked back and looked at my personal library, and I was like, I think I've always been this person. Like, okay, so me being who I am, I started researching just like, what do librarians do? And then when I found out that librarians can be themselves to an extent, because now I'm in the profession, I was like, okay, everything that I am, a writer, an artist, a social advocate, a woman of reverence, a change agent, I could be in this one person. And it just seems like it was just magical. Like, it was magical, the whole process. I can say that my graduate studies at the University of North Texas was godsend. The professors that I work with, the individuals that accepted my writing as a Black woman, I was never challenged in that way like I thought I probably would have been. My ideas were accepted. I was heralded as, like the future of librarianship, and still to this day. And I moved very quickly through the profession. Then we go to my first job, at a HBCU, the only university, in Jefferson City, Missouri. It was a very humbling experience for me, being that I went to two white institutions. However, a part of Black Studies programs, already knowing my history, but walking into a situation where this was my first time being around just Black people. And it was different. It was interesting. I was there for 3 years. And I learned a lot about myself professionally and where I wanted to go with my career. And not just as a professional, but an entrepreneur, as a writer, as a future wife, as an aunt, a sister. I had to really take a step back and see where I wanted to go. And I'm thankful for Lincoln University. And it's so funny because most people thought that I was going to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. But when I found out it was a Lincoln University in Missouri, I was just like, whoa, like, this is interesting. I'm going to the Midwest, which is actually the beginning of the North. So it was an interesting experience being in a place where there are 50,000 people. It's like 2% African American. You're at a Black college. The city is pretty much segregated. African Americans pretty much live in St. Louis and in Kansas City, Missouri. And, you're in a place where the buses stop running at 5. Everything shuts down at 8 p.m. and you're in your late 30s. And I just turned 42 September 7th. And that was just a very interesting time. And losing my mother while I was there, losing my second mother, which was my aunt's, 2 months apart in 2015. And, not even knowing if I was still an artist, if I was still, Kim. But I think that God places us in certain areas in our lives to challenge us, to get us to a certain point. And I think that Missouri did that for me in freeing myself and knowing that though I lost great people in my 30s, my grandmother, my mother, and my aunt in my 30s, that I would still be okay, that I'm still strong, that I'm still beautiful, that I'm still, Kim. I'm the Kim that they raised, and that the legacy that I'm creating for myself is not just for me, it's for them. And I'm forever grateful for that experience. It was very hard, not having family in Missouri, being a Texan all my life, born in Fort Worth, lived in Dallas, Houston, and now Austin.
Right.
Which is so weird. I'm like, I can't believe I'm in Austin, Texas. This is so weird, but it's cool.
Yes.
It's cool.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that inspiring journey.
Yeah.
So let's talk now about the Austin History Center. And one of the things I wanted to mention is I feel like it's an underutilized resource, especially for our community. And so if you could talk about that, about the History Center, and then specifically your role as community liaison.
I do believe that it's an underutilized resource within the community, which is situated on Guadalupe, 810 Guadalupe, downtown. I think that first I want to tell people that the one thing that I've learned thus far is that the Austin History Center sits on ancestral grounds. Like the first AME, the first Baptist church, one of the first Lutheran churches sat where that building is now.
Right.
Then the Carver Library, which is now the Carver Genealogical Library Museum, and so much more to the community, sat on those grounds. So with knowing that much,
Right.
I would think African American people would come to just know that.
Right.
That you're in a place of protection. That's what I believe. Moving forth, we pretty much document we document all of the history in regards to Travis County. I think that's now going to go towards to Pflugerville and Round Rock based upon what's happening in Austin as far as gentrification. But we hold property records, photos, you name it, heirlooms, just anything that you think, I believe, in regards to an archive that is valuable and that you want other people to know about, you would bring to us. If you're interested in getting a tour of the Austin History Center, just learn about the history and how it began, you should come through.
Yeah, that's really helpful because I feel like people maybe weren't aware. I wasn't aware as many times as I've gone there for research purposes that, you all really benefit from people giving, their archival pieces. Example, like one time I was there and I was looking for certain yearbooks and they were like, oh, if you know people from these schools, we encourage them to bring their yearbooks in. So, that we are playing a role in this is really important. So just to kind of put that out there, yes, it's really important to keep this going, especially for our stories to be told. We need to have our resources there and we need to kind of help in that contributing.
And I would like to add, so what people will know in regards to what collections may comprise of, which would be video recordings, photographs, letters, news clippings, pamphlets, business records, and just like I stated before, just anything that you believe that is important, funeral registries, just directories, anything that you think that is of value that people need to know about, where they can find you and what you did during your time on this earth, I believe should be in an archive.
Right.
I would say that I had an awesome time this past week with Miss Anderson from Anderson High School, the first Black high school in Austin. I've only been here 2 months this weekend.
Wow.
Miss 1964. Oh my gosh, she's 72 and she is regal. Just regal. And she just really inspired me. I sat in her home and just listened to her journey, and being able to complete oral histories this quickly in what I'm doing, it really brightens my day, because you get to hear other people's journeys and you get to see that everyone has a story. Everyone came from something, whether that's a poor background, a rich whatever background you came from, we all have a story, and that story is important. And just to see her smile and talk about her grandparents and how her mother and father had to leave work early in the morning, and her grandmother was the one that taught her how to cook. And just watching her grandmother make cornbread every morning. She said it took her years to perfect how to make cornbread, because her grandmother never measured anything. She would take a dab of this and a dab of that. And she said, I finally feel like that I know how to make cornbread now. And it just made me chuckle. I was just like, wow, what a great memory to have of your grandmother. Being able to come home during lunch and spend time with your grandmother. These are the things that you learn about in oral histories. And I've been able to complete 4 thus far. I've also received my first collection, the John W. Whitley collection. And John W. Whitley was the first Black man to own an art supply store in downtown Austin.
Wow.
And he was the art restorer of all of the artwork in the state capitol building. He studied under Booker T. Washington, went to Tuskegee Institute, and studied under George Washington Carver. And I mean, like, what's in the collection is amazing. What Miss Anderson let me walk away with from her home, the photo album, is amazing. So I think that these moments are important based upon what's really happening right now, and how I am, in regards to my job, is supposed to tell the story of or about Black people. And things have changed significantly in regards to gentrification, as far as the east side of Austin is concerned, which is considered the Black side of Austin.
Right. Yeah, and I did my head tilt because, as you know, and hopefully a lot of folks know, Black folks were everywhere in Austin, and then kind of put into East Austin, and then yes,
like that's it.
Right.
I mean, and I've only been here 60 days this weekend.
Wow.
And like, it's just been kind of euphoric, I would say, like sitting back trying to understand how to do your job, and a lot of people are not really happy right now. There's one lady that I got the opportunity to do an oral history with, Miss Barbara Dolores Johnson, who was the president of the Sigma Gamma Rho Philos affiliate, which I had no idea that sororities had affiliates, but they did. And these were for women who didn't have degrees. So, I think Black people are so amazing. So if you don't have a degree, you still gonna be somebody, baby. I love that. And she just sold her home like a month ago. White lady in Galveston bought her house with cash. And the home that she lived in was for 50 years. It was her grandparents' home, and she moved to Round Rock. And I was just like, that is so amazing. She was like, Miss, the Nances are gone, the Johnsons are gone. I might as well leave. Because there is no representation of who I am and my skin color and our history and what we've seen this community become and turn into today. There's no reason for me to stay here. And she's 80 years old. I mean, walking better than me and you. And I just found that to be alarming. And then I started to do a little bit more research, and I'm looking at the 1928 master plan, and just like, it was like when I looked at it and I started to read it, I was just like, this document was for today. Like, it was for today, for this moment right now. Like, the words that I'm reading are actually happening right now. And I'm not even an Austinite. And I can see that coming in as an outsider, which is so interesting to me. And I think it's really, really sad because in the back of my mind, I'm like, are Black people, do you want to fight? Do you still want to fight for what's rightfully yours? And I believe all of Austin is yours, not just the east side. I mean.
Right. So that listeners are really clear on your role, can you just kind of explain, like, specifically what your role is with the liaison piece? I mean, you've talked, a bit about, like, the oral histories that you've done. And I know from talking with you, collaborations are really important. I know you've gone and met with many of us in the community that are doing work with Black populations. If you could talk more about that and what your big plan is, because I know you have one.
So the role of a community archivist is outreach. That's attending events, that's meeting with, just community constituents, just individuals within the community, talking to them about archives, if they have an understanding of them, if they actually have any collections that they would like to have housed in the Austin History Center. I also help process those collections. Okay. I also work in the reading room, which is our library, so I get to work in reference. Then, I have to also put on programming, so look forward to programming by Kim at the Austin History Center beginning in 2019. Then I think the role that is not written is more of the social advocate for the Black community. And I think as a librarian and archivist, it's all encompassed in what I do, just showing up, letting others know that there is someone from the Austin History Center that, believes that your history is important. Then I have the opportunity to work with some great people. It's not just me that makes this happen. We have a registrar that registers the collections. We have a digital archivist who helps bring about the digital piece of Black history online. Then we have an exhibition archivist whom I'm working with now to create my first exhibition. Then we have a photography archivist who helps with the scanning of photos and making sure that, we keep what looks original. Then we have that piece in the reading room where we get to dig for you. So if you have a question, there are experienced people there who can help you find what you're looking for in regards to property records, as far as directories from the 1900s, as the yearbooks you were speaking of. And just by the way, people, we have a lot of yearbooks in regards to Anderson High School. So you should definitely come check those out. And Houston Tillotson, the University HBCU here. We do a myriad of things. I would say I'm 7 people in one right now.
Okay.
I would. Because I just don't see it as, archiving history. I see it as also being a librarian, because you have to do the research too. Once you find some information, then hopefully you want to know more as yourself as an archivist. So you're able to share that information with the general public. So I would say for me, the librarian in me is thankful that I have the opportunity to now be able to help collect and preserve Black history. I have a hand in that. And I think that's very, very important. And I think I have one of the most unique jobs in America because, I'm able to be a part of the community. I am the community just as you are the community. And I think that's very unique within itself that a position like this was created, not just for the African American community, but the Asian American community and the Mexican American community. It's 3 community archivists that work for the Austin History Center. So I think, highlighting the achievements, contributions, and struggles of African American people is very important in the 21st century. And in coming into this, my mindset has been on how to tell the story of a people who have moved away from whence they came.
Right.
And I think, you asked me the question of, what's in the future for that. I believe writing is going to be the way. Because it's like I've thought about it and toiled with it and thought about it and toiled. How am I best going to do this? Because my predecessor is an amazing person, like an amazing person. And how am I going to put my stamp of approval on things? And what am I going to do different? And I'm still thinking about that now, to be honest. I'm still thinking about that.
And I'm sure for you, as you are out in the community meeting folks, looking at ways to collaborate, that's going to help define and has helped kind of define for you, like your trajectory, like the way you're going to do this work. So, I'm speaking on behalf of the Austin community, the Black Austin community as well. I know we're really happy to have you here, have you in Austin. I mean, what you were saying about, the ways in which you've already noticed in these 2 months and working and looking through the archives, the way that this history is going away, right? So even more so why this is so important to do the work that you're doing, and for us to as well, I guess, kind of consider ourselves these personal archivists, and gathering this information.
Because the work that you're doing is amazing.
Right.
If you don't know Stephanie Lane, you need to know Stephanie Lane. She is the bomb.
That's sweet. And I didn't even pay her. But we all can be archivists in a sense.
Yes, we all are. We all are.
Right, absolutely. So again, Kymberly Keaton, the Austin History Center. You're located
at 810 Guadalupe. Just come into the building, ask for Kim or the Community Archives, and we will be right there to help you.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Stephanie Lang. This is ZUMBI, and until next time.
You've been listening to ZUMBI with host Miss Stephanie Lang.